When's the last time that you took a pause? Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Steve McHale, here with Josh Price, the founder of the Pause Method, husband to Kelly and father to Sully and Brighton, Brighton being the catalyst to the Pause Method. Thanks so much for being with us, Josh. Glad to have you here and very curious about this method that you created. So you can tell us a little bit about yourself and what you got going on.
Yeah. Thank you. Excited to be here. So the Pause Method, like we said, Brighton is a catalyst. My daughter Brighton was born with a very rare mitochondrial defect, and the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. That's what gives us our energy. For everybody remembering back to their biology, and for her, 70%, around 70% of her mitochondria is diseased and cannot produce ATP the way that a normal person's can. And neither me nor my wife is a carrier of this. So it was a spontaneous mutation that occurred. We were, completely unexpected and everything. And Leigh's syndrome, it is life-limiting, it's progressive, and, it will eventually kill her. In fact, we were given a 2-year life expectancy, but Brighton has actually lived to be 4 years old. So it's been amazing because...
That's awesome.
Because we were told, she would never make eye contact, she would never laugh, she would never do anything, and... she just keeps consistently beating those things, now lived till 4, she makes eye contact, she laughs, she knows who you are. And just recently we got an AAC device, which is alternate communication. I can't remember exactly what it is, but alternate communication device. And she's been learning how to use it to actually use her eyes to talk to us. And she's doing really, really good at that. Yeah. So very exciting. And then, to the Pause Method, we were in the hospital. Total, we spent almost a year in the hospital with Brighton, but during our longest trip, we were there for over 70 days while she got her tracheostomy and her GJ tube, so a feeding tube and a breathing tube so that she can breathe, at all times on a ventilator. And that stay was really the catalyst for the Pause Method and for just changing my life, going through such a brutal ordeal. Being away from it now, it's got some breathing room and everything, but at the time it was brutal.
That was the 70 days the
70 days in there.
Gotcha.
Yep, because when we showed up, we went into the ER because she had actually stopped breathing, and my wife performed CPR on her. And we called the fire department. They came to the house, gave her oxygen, kind of brought her up and everything, and then we left and went to the ER. And by the time we got to the ER, her oxygen saturation was dipping again really, really fast. So they put the nose cannula in to give her oxygen. It wasn't working. They put her on a CPAP. And then they looked at us and said, is there any reason why you wouldn't intubate her? Because it happened so fast. I mean, this was probably less than 30 minutes, right, of us being there, just boom, 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 that both me and my wife were just like, what is happening, and, I was in the Army. I was used to being under pressure and everything, and this had me just knocked sideways. I just didn't know what to do, didn't know how to respond, to this doctor asking me if I want my daughter intubated, or really the way he phrased it again was, is there any reason you wouldn't intubate her, right? And what a strange way to ask that question, because then I'm trying to think of, is there any reason I wouldn't, do this?
That's
And
a common thing.
right, yeah, yeah. And then right then, one of the doctors we had actually seen before we were in Ochsner in New Orleans, Dr. Leigh came down and just happened to walk into the ER right then. And she was like, that baby's dying, intubate her right now. And she's the chief of the PICU, of their pediatric ICU. So, obviously they're going to do exactly what she said. So they intubated her.
Right.
And then we went upstairs to the PICU almost immediately. And then we were there for 70 days. So, or over 70 days. So Dr. Leigh really saved Brighton's life, that day. Well, my wife saved Brighton's life. And then
Right.
Dr. Leigh saved my daughter's life that day. So, yeah.
And she was how old at the time?
Oh, man, what was it? She was just over a year, just barely over a year. Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think, just to like rewind a second, did
Yep.
you know about the syndrome? Like, when did you first learn about it? Like when she was born, or afterwards?
Around 6 months is when we learned, about it.
Okay.
Yep. And then, so that was kind of our initial hospitalization. We were in for almost 30 days. Then we were out for about 60 days, maybe 45, 50 days. Then we were back in for another like 15 for just this, like her sodium dropped, and she started having seizures. It's very weird and everything. So they got her steady, and then it was like 3 days. Like we came out of the hospital, it was like the weekend, and then boom, she stopped breathing. Kelly did CPR, and then we were in the hospital for another 70 days, and then we were home just for again like 40, 50, and then she was right back in the hospital. So that's how it ended up being almost a year of just being in the hospital the entire year. So
that's got to be a hell on the mindset for sure.
Yes.
And emotions and all of that. So
yeah.
And that's obviously where you came up with this method. So
yeah. So it really came out of that and everything. The bigger picture is it's the culmination of kind of my life and everything put into, I would almost say, like a distillery or something, right? It was distilled down to this, but it started with leadership lessons that I learned in the Army. I was a squad leader in the Army from 2000 to 2008, 2009. Then I went into the National Guard for another 6 years, deployed to Iraq with the Guard, and then started multiple businesses, so leadership and, goal setting and all that type of stuff, and learning how to run businesses. And then I became a business consultant and, created some other businesses and everything. And so there was all this, I'm using my hands like everybody can see me, but there was like all of this knowledge and everything. And what I've said is like, externally, I knew how to lead other people, and externally, I knew how to accomplish goals, and externally, I knew how to make it look like I was holding everything together. But when that happened, that was all out the window, right? Like, though I knew all these tactics and tools and everything else, it was just too much, too fast, so you didn't get a chance to catch your breath or anything. And it was actually one night we were up in the PICU, just me and Brighton. I think Kelly was down, there's a hotel at the hospital, and she was down there just getting some sleep and actually getting some rest. And I had been writing, just all night long, just trying to get all my thoughts out and everything, because journaling, writing, that type of stuff has helped me in the past. And when I finally was just exhausted and had nothing left, and it was like just the beep of her monitors and everything, that's in that stillness and everything, that was the first time that I took a pause. It was the first time that I was really, really quiet. And, I just felt like God, the universe, however you believe in that higher source, that higher power and everything, was like, I'll walk with you in this. Like, if you want me to, if you'll, if you want that, I'll walk with you. And that was kind of that first pause of like, the still small voice they talk about in the Bible and stuff. And the next lesson came very, very quickly after that, when I was talking to a buddy of mine who owned some CrossFit gyms and owned some different businesses and everything. And he, first he really checked on me, made sure I was doing good and everything. And he asked, do you think this is happening to you or for you?
I love that question.
Yeah. Just absolutely changed everything, because at the time it was very much happening to me, right? And once he phrased it that way and everything, I was like, okay, yeah. I'd already kind of had that conversation with God, and now I'm having this conversation with Angelo, and Angelo's telling me, is this happening for me? And now I was looking, right? I was looking for how this was happening, for me.
Yeah.
And that was really the next big question that I started to pay attention to and everything. And now I shape that question as, why is this in my story? Right. And that question is so helpful, because what it allows me to do is to go from this is happening to me to this is happening for me. I can write down everything that's happening to me in the moment, all the blame, all the limiting beliefs, all the negativity, every last bit of it, and then get it to, hey, Josh, what's your responsibility in this? Where's your ownership, in this? And
right.
I think that's a huge piece that men often miss. We don't take responsibility, or we don't take ownership 100% for the situation that we're in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, men specifically, think that they do.
Yeah.
But they're just telling a story to themselves, and I mean, that's just kind of become a societal norm, whether it's I don't think it's all men, but it, as men, being told that we have to have that responsibility and, own everything in a destructive way almost by society. But when you frame it like you're saying, it becomes more empowering.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. It's totally different. Like you said, instead of being like, like we own it in a destructive way, or what's the fancy term they're always using nowadays? The toxic masculinity.
Oh yeah, right. Everything's toxic.
Yeah, and stuff like that. And it's like, that's not what I'm talking about here. Now, there might be some toxic masculinity that you're dealing with, or whatever in it, but yeah, it's just, what's my responsibility in this? How did I get myself here, but also what's my responsibility in the situation, versus what you said, like everything, like I have to take responsibility. No, just in this situation, what's my responsibility? And
absolutely.
That actually really, really helped me. And I think, because I know another thing in society is this like thought of everybody is responsible for everything, right? We want our celebrities, we want our sports stars, we want, all of these people to comment and take a stand on everything. And then the moment, if they take a stand on it and it's not our stand, then we start blaming them of like, why are you using your platform for this? Why are you doing this? Right? So we want it both ways.
Right. Have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. And there's no, unfortunately, not that there's no, but it's becoming less and less being able to you know, allow people to have their differences and still appreciate them for things, you know. Just because somebody did something terrible doesn't mean that their whole life was, you know, absolute dog shit.
Yep.
So, or if they like something that you don't like doesn't mean that they're the worst person in the world. But that's the way of the world, just polarizing everything anymore. You know, it's either black or white. Like the gray area doesn't, they're trying to make it not exist so much, but that's where everything lives at, really, is that gray area. There's very few black and white pieces.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep, absolutely. And that kind of gets me to the next piece, and it's like carrying your own responsibility and not carrying everybody else's or everything else that you think it is. And the third step and everything in the pause method is, you know, what is my adversary telling me, or what is my opponent telling me in the situation? And a lot of times it is that it's this thing that's bigger than you that you couldn't carry anyways. And then the moment that you can't carry it, then it's, you know, accusing you and blaming you and attacking you for not being able to, you know. And, you know, and I think we listen to that voice a lot. We listen to that deception of, you know, you're a bad person, and you're, you know, you can't handle this, and you're never going to get through this, and you're never going to change, you know, after we fail at whatever false task that it gave to us.
Right.
And in the hospital, I really figured that out actually by volunteering to do something I couldn't do. And that was, me and Kelly were really good at trait care very quickly because I think because of military training, and I know you can relate to that. Like, you've already done some medical, you've done some IVs, probably you've done some different stuff. So you're like, okay, like, I'm not too afraid. Even though it's my daughter and everything, I can't hurt her anymore. And there's this trained professional here, so let's do this. Let's figure this out.
Absolutely.
So we're jumping in and doing this. And then one of the nurses was like, you know, it'd be really, really helpful if you guys like filmed a video of you doing this and, you know, everything else, and put it out there. And I'm like, yeah, because I see this opportunity to help and maybe help other, you know, families do this and everything. And there wasn't time, you know, like, needed to sleep, needed to take care of Kelly, needed to take care of Brighton, you know, there, make sure, you know, she knows she's loved, we're there and everything. You take care of Sully, because Sully's back at home, which was hour 45, 2 hours away with the grandparents, so that he could still get to school and everything. So sometimes coming back over here, especially on the weekends, and then bringing him over to the hospital.
Yeah.
So there was just so much, and that was one of the attacks that I felt like, oh, you said you were going to do this, and you haven't done it, and you haven't done it. Oh, man. You know, I guess you aren't, you know, Superman, but I guess you can't do everything, right? And it's just hitting you. And and the next thing you know, we're being discharged. And when I had that all in my head, I couldn't handle it, right? But when I started writing it down and saying it out loud, just like now, like, you started to smile. And I'm like, that's it right there. Like, you hear how silly it sounds.
Right.
And that's what's amazing, because I did too, right? I heard how silly it sounds, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, maybe it's okay that I didn't do all of these things. And hey, maybe that's not my responsibility to carry. And maybe, you know, it's okay if somebody, you know, else does that. And then the funniest part is, one day Kelly did it. She set up a camera and shot the whole thing and sent it into him. But I was like, that's amazing, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So that's kind of that third piece and everything is, you know, learning what's not your voice. What is this other voice inside and everything that is attacking you and accusing you? And but the funny part is not squashing it down, not, putting it down deep or anything else. But actually giving it voice, actually letting it say all of that. And so I do everything in writing, basically. So writing all of it down and then just saying it all out loud. Right. And in the moment that I do, I end up laughing and I end up, yeah, none of this is true. Right. Even some of the true, get my fingers in there, true elements aren't true. They're half truths or twisted truths or whatever else. And I realized that's not it.
Yeah.
So after those 3 steps, then came the next lesson. We were on the normal floor. We're out of the PICU now. And this was one of the longest times during that 70 days. I think this piece alone was about 30 days. They want to make sure you can take care of your daughter completely, or your child before you leave. So put you in a room and you're doing everything. You're doing meds, you're doing trait care, you're doing trait changes, you're doing absolutely everything, but they're there, right? You can hit that button and they come running. Mm-hmm. So, we're in there, we're doing all of that. And reality started to set in of what we were facing. And even though, I'd kind of started to learn these lessons and everything, they were not distilled yet. They were not what they are now. And I faced another one of those crisis nights, those dark nights of the soul, where a respiratory therapist actually came in. And the hospital beds, for babies and everything, they're sleep safe beds. So they've got a railing that goes up real high. Well, she put the railing up, and Brighton's trach is shooting over this thing, almost 3 feet. And I freak out and I run over there and take it down, yell at them, get out of here. Right? They're getting out of the room as fast as they can.
Right.
I'm 6'4", 270 pounds. So they got out of there as fast as they could. Not that I was actually, mad or angry. I mean, I was angry, but not like that.
Yeah.
And I sat down and I got calm. I'm writing everything out again, just oh my gosh, how are we going to do this? Right. And when I got everything else out again, that's the next time I heard that still quiet voice. And it was if you need me, find me here. Right? Get quiet. Breathe. Do these things. Right?
Yeah.
And I was okay, I have a way, to ask for what I need. And then we got home, and we're taking care of her. We've got all of that. We've figured that type of stuff out. But I didn't know what life looked like, right? Before I'd owned gyms, I'd been part of a consulting company. I had owned a virtual assistant company, had done all of these different entrepreneurial business things. And it was how does life work now? Because my wife's got a job, she goes to it, she loves it, she's a civilian for the Navy, she loves taking care of the sailors and everything. And with this constantly changing, we have nurses, we don't have nurses, you have night shift, you don't have night shift, and that's still how it is. 3 years later, or 2.5 years later from when all this finally finished, with the hospital and everything. And it was how do I thrive in this? I know how to survive this now, but how do I thrive in this? And that's where the question, what do I want my story to look like, came to me. And I don't know who I was talking to at the time and everything, but they made me realize that desire is a good thing, because desire gets a bad rap.
Yeah.
Desire gets a rap of It'll lead you to sin. It'll lead you to manipulate, lie, cheat, whatever else. Almost like money, right? It's like the same thing, money and desire, and both are good. It's just how you use them.
Right.
Yeah.
They're just tools. Well, money is a tool. Desire, I guess, is a tool in a way too, but.
So I think it is. I think it's the spark that gets you moving.
I like that.
Yeah. I think desire is the spark that gets you moving. And so I'm talking to this. I'm reading. Maybe I was reading. I don't know. I need to track that down. And I hit the verse. God wants to give you the desires of your heart. And then I hit the James verse where it's like, if you let temptation grow, it'll grow to sin. But don't say that you're tempted by God, because all good things comes from the Father of lights. And I was like, oh yeah, it's not the desire that's evil. It's the temptation and everything that leads to manipulation or whatever else. So I've already learned how to get quiet, right? So what if I just start asking when I get quiet, for the next step? And I can start co-authoring. That's what I started calling it. What do I want my story to be? Co-authoring this, with God. And then of course the next thing came to me immediately, because in business, in any type of work and everything, you have to take action, right? You can't just think it and leave it there. So I already knew, okay, well now I have to take action. So I need to know, what's the next step, or the smallest step, or whatever that I need to take, out of this story. And so that all happened in that time frame and everything, and then the distillation of it down into a method occurred over basically the next 18 months. I'm trying to get all the timelines right, which hit us at about April of last year. And I took some private clients in it, took some business clients, took a bunch of different things, and really still didn't know what I wanted to do with it until I talked to Steve McHale last week, brother.
How about that?
And we got on to talk, me and you, just to say hey.
Yep.
And I was like, I don't know what to do with this. And you were like, okay, well, what help do you need? And I was like, how do I meditate on this? And you were like, well, I think I got a tool for you, where spend about a minute just writing everything out, and then spend a minute in meditation, and then spend a minute writing, and then all of that. And my man, I did it.
I love it.
And I realized that I just want to teach people the pause method. I want to help people to go from, reactionary and reactive in their life to having some authority in their lives, to take that authority back. And
absolutely.
Yeah, and I realized that's what this does. It brings awareness. It brings responsibility through the questions. It reestablishes authority, right? And once you have that, you can take action. Okay, you have to take action to make it stick.
Right.
Right? But you can take action. It brings you to that point. And it doesn't matter if it's your family. It doesn't matter if it's, your wife, your daughter, your business, or whatever. This method, when you use it and everything, just can really, really help you. Not just make decisions, because it kind of sounds like a decision-making thing, but it's not. It's really, it can help you take action towards the story you want in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And design it in the way that you desire.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you for that. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you got some use out of it. It's definitely one of my favorite things to share with people to try, and it seems to really hit like it did for you too. So
Yep, absolutely. Now I'm going to tell you the cool part, because
All right.
meditation leads to the cool part, and I want you to have the cool part.
right on.
So I make this decision, and my wife comes home, and we're talking, and she's like, hey, Josh, I had this crazy conversation with somebody at work, and their husband is gone all the time, on doing his job and everything, and is basically leaving his wife at home to take care of the kids, to work, to do everything. And as we were talking, it was like there was a time that me and Josh went through that, and it was when I was starting my first gym. And she was like, do you remember that? And everything. I was like, heck yeah, I do. I remember that. Yeah, you said you wanted a divorce. How could I forget that, And she's like, yeah. And she's like, but the funniest part was, just like you that night when you looked at me and was like, where in the world is this coming from? I thought everything was okay. Like, that's where they're at, that unaware stage. And she was like, can you talk to him? And I was like, well, has his wife made it super, super clear, what's going on and everything? And she said to me, why does she have to? And I was like, well, that's not very fair to him, if not. But it hit in my brain and stuck there. And she was saying something else, and I wasn't listening because I was still listening to that piece. And I was like, yeah, wait a minute. Why does she have to? Like, who cares whether she's communicated or not? Like, he has responsibility. He has ownership in this. He has, this piece. And then I thought to our conversation, and I thought to me doing the meditation, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is part of it, right? Is to teach, specifically with men and everything, like authority without permission. Like, you have this because you are, not because of rank, not because of position, not because of anything else. And I was like, start describing this to me. And so I'm like, I'm writing this right now and you're helping me. And she's like, okay. And so I'm sitting there writing everything, the psychographics of where she was and why she was ready to leave me, and what this person had told her about her husband and everything else. I'm writing all of it. And then we get down to one thing, and it was, why didn't you leave? And why isn't she leaving? And it was at that time, I did not need you anymore. I was already taking care of our kid. I was already making money, already, had everything that I needed, but I still wanted you. I still wanted that relationship. And this person had said the exact same thing. So I, of course, wrote that down because it's, a huge piece of it and everything. And then I started working on the ad and started working on everything else. And then I finished all of that. And I thought back to our conversation, right? And I was like dominoes falling. I made a decision. I took an action to do the thing that you told me to do, which led to another thought, which led to, I don't even know how, because of course my wife was not, privy to the conversation we had of her coming home that day,
Right.
saying this thing that led to the next domino. And I was just like, that was fast.
I mean, time is relative. So once you decide on things that's another thing that I've learned with all this is, once you make a decision on something and you've put that intention and visualized it, and this is the direction that I'm going, like, it's just a matter of it. Like, again, time isn't real. So it can happen in an instant. It can happen in a week or a month. It kind of all just depends on how deeply your belief in that happening, I think, really is seated. So, But I know for you with this whole method and helping people, that's been just such a deep level of, your soul. So
Yeah.
it all just hits.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, no, I'm thrilled to hear out of curiosity, how many minutes were you going back and forth with the writing and breathing?
Probably somewhere in 12 to 15 minutes. Like it wasn't, it wasn't too long. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I said, I usually say like 5 rounds, back and forth is about 10 minutes. So, but that's all. Was it difficult for you to sit in the?
There was a fight. There was a fight until I decided. Yes.
With the just sitting and breathing.
Yep.
Because you wanted to keep writing.
Not just because I wanted to keep. Yes. I'll correct myself now that I'm thinking about it like that. Yes, because I did want to keep writing because I felt like, oh, I'll figure this out if I keep writing, And then it was like, no, do it, do the breath and everything. And that was kind of the fight, right? Was like all of the things to the decision, to fighting about the decision, and then to actually making it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because like all of the things was like, well, what's all of the things that I could do, with this?
Right.
Right. And then the decision was like, really what is my soul saying? What is my desire saying? Like forget this offer could make me, hundreds of millions of dollars. Forget that, this offer could do this offer could do that. It was like, no, what if you just listened to what you wanted to do? What if you didn't worry about all of the rest of that? Right. And then I had a thought that was, and this is really what helped seal the deal and everything with it was, what if it's already happened? What if all of the things that you have desired and everything has already happened and it's just waiting for you to make this decision so that it can start coming to you?
I mean, if you look into the concepts of manifestation, that's really the thought that we live in an infinite universe. And so every version of you is available to you, and it's just what decisions you make in those moments of time. That's exactly what it is. Like if you decide, then you're on that path.
Yeah. And
so there's nothing keeping you from it other than you staying with that choice.
Yeah. And I think that's the action piece. I think that's what cements it here and everything. But it was really that thought that let me let go, because it was like you can just be present now, right? What do you need to do, or not even need necessarily, but want to do today? And it was like, I don't have to fight that decision-making process. Like I know what I want to do, right? I just been kidding myself for, I think we even talked about that, all this stuff. But it's like at the end of the day, I want to write and I want to coach people. So why am I making it any more difficult than that? And then the answer to why I'm making it more difficult is because of a future, right, that hasn't happened yet, that I'm projecting stuff out there, right? Fear, doubt, right? And then where is that coming from? The past that I'm interpreting that way. I'm interpreting things that happened in the past, but no, why does that have to project out into the future? What if, the only things that go out into the future are those things that I I wanted to write
Right.
and coach people.
Yeah, because you were talking about, not being sure about, the different offers, like
Yep.
being for who and whatnot, and all of that, and it was just like, why does it have to be all these things?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so yeah, that's so great that
Yeah.
that clarity came, and man, I love to hear that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I was like, I'm definitely sharing that because of how fast it happened and everything. And I was like, I don't know. And there's peace, man. Like, we didn't really talk about that and everything, but I know you know it, and I know like the people you work with start to figure it out. But there is so much peace when you can just say, like, this is all going to lead to what I want anyways. This is all going to lead to the fulfillment, because how could it not?
Exactly.
I felt that peace come over me too, and I was like, whoa, I was not expecting this, but man, yeah.
Well, once you realize that, then you stop trying to force. Like you were saying, like, it's okay to sit and not do something, and realize that sitting and not doing something is part of getting what you want.
Yeah.
Because when we're going constantly, look at what happens. Like, this is society. You burn out.
Yeah.
And then you're running on burnout and burning out even more. And like, how far can you go? How burned out can you go before, you either hit your rock bottom or your limit, and you like go insane or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, that piece is one of the most beautiful things of, dude, man, I didn't get this shit done this weekend like I wanted to. Well, that was just part of the process.
Yeah.
And to be fair, though, there is that level, like you said, we have to take action.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't just sit there and say, well, I didn't do anything. It's going to happen anyway. Like, being aligned in that version of you that does the things has to be part of it.
Yep.
But that version of you that does the things also understands, like you're saying, the power of the pause,
Yeah.
and sitting and just being and writing in your case, or meditating or whatever. Like, it's all part of the process, and all of it is working for you, as you said in the beginning too. So
yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think I don't know if it's the universe. I don't know what it is, but it seems that, like I said, the action cements it. The action says to the universe, like, yeah, this is actually what they want. Because if you're just sitting there, then I'm like, well, you're getting exactly what you want. If you want to sit there and that's what you're doing, then you're getting exactly what you want,
Right.
So, and if that's it and everything, then great, be grateful in that,
exactly.
and if you're not, then signal, right, is going to be coming in and saying, making you uncomfortable, making you frustrated, making you whatever that is, to say, like, no, hey, you want more than just to sit here.
Right.
And thus you need to, like you said, in the alignment and everything to do, to do. So, it's why I heard Dave Tate, he's a big powerlifter, big time powerlifter, was at Westside Barbell. And I heard him speak one time, and he was like, the one thing that he's learned in life is everything is simple and not easy.
Right.
And he's like, that changed my world, when I was at Westside. And then he grew, Elite FTS, which became one of the largest equipment suppliers, like online equipment suppliers and everything on online after his powerlifting career, during it and everything. And, he was like, when I just looked at things, the next decision was always simple, but it was almost always not easy. Right? So he's like, I just realized that I was making it hard. I was making it difficult. But if I just did the thing, then we continue to grow.
Right.
And I realized, like, he was so right in that life is just simple, not easy. Like, the thing to do for your wife tonight, is probably simple. The thing to do for your son is probably simple. Your daughter's probably simple. Your business, your next decision's probably simple.
Right.
Right. But we're just clogging it up and clouding it up with so many things.
Yeah, the overthinking and that voice that you were talking about, that negative thought loop that just wants to pick and pick and pick and pick, because, that's like part of our old story.
Yeah.
That's just trying to pull us back into that comfortable space, because, that's where people want to be. Nobody wants to be uncomfortable, but if you want the best things, there's, you have to get into that uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But like you said, with the simple, not easy, it's so true. Like, even, I guess, like, going back to the story with Brighton, like, taking care of the things, or those are all simple tasks.
Yeah.
But when you're in your head about everything, because of course you don't want to fuck anything up, right? This is something that's important, somebody you love to no end and want the best for. So they're in that, unfortunately, that good space is still fucking us up. Like,
yeah.
It's not even a negative thing. It's like, oh shit, I have to be, because of that love.
Yeah. Yeah. No, what you just said, like, really, really rings true with me and everything. And I did some work and everything with a rabbi, because I wanted to understand more of, like, Hebrew thought and everything of the Bible. I grew up Christian. My dad's a pastor, and so I just want to understand more of Hebrew thought and everything, because most of what you get taught in church in America and everything, is from a Greek viewpoint, and then really, honestly, nowadays an American viewpoint. We've twisted that thing to be American as we possibly can. And what you just said was one of the things that he talked about, and he was like, what people don't understand about the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil is that the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, either way, your ego is at play here. Whether it's good or whether it's evil, your ego is at play. And what you need to be doing is seeking the tree of life. All right? And that was huge for me. Because I was like, yeah, oh my gosh, yeah, it's not just seeking good, and we know this, right? Because sometimes we do something good and it doesn't have the intended effect, right? And sometimes we're in context where you do something evil, right? But it's what you have to do, in the military,
Right.
We had to kill people. Well, in most contexts, that's evil,
Right.
But it's like, not in this context. So we know these things and everything, but we don't think about it that way, versus, this tree of life, which is love, which is, I think in one of Paul's letters in the New Testament, it says like, you know, seeking kindness and charity and joy and giving and taking care of others, which there is no law against these things. You know, so as long as we're taking care of each other and everything, like we're good.
Right. Don't you dare not do that.
Right. Yeah. Don't you dare not, feed the poor or take care of somebody, like, which again is crazy to me because Jesus said, like, when he was talking to, I think the Pharisees or whatever, when you did these things to the poor, to the elderly and all that, you did them to the Father when you fed them and clothed them and everything. So it's like, dude, what is happening? So,
right.
Yeah.
That's funny. You say how everything's become Americanized even with that. And I was just thinking, like, I don't even know why they use the King James Bible anymore. Like, fuck England, right? Like,
Yeah.
They need to make a new version, American version, Merca version.
Yeah.
But,
we have the New American Standard.
Oh, okay.
And we have the English Standard, which apparently is not England English, but I think is an American Standard or American English Standard. So they've done some work on that. They heard you. They were like, I'm on it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, no, it's funny just the way everything in the world kind of turns anymore. And even with that, talking about, helping people or not helping people, like that's become such a polarizing issue as well. Personally, I'm not against helping people because how can you be against helping people? Yeah. I just don't like the way that it's being done per se. Mm-hmm. And, specifically with how our taxes get just thrown away because, and this is, I know this mindset for me drives some people. It's a polarizing thought, but I think you're probably on the same wavelength. Correct me if I'm wrong, but when we give people things, then, there's nothing wrong with giving people things, but when they're given things constantly, then they don't learn. And, it's the same with self-improvement. Like if you're not willing to do for yourself, then you're not going to get anything out of it. And so that constant giving and is not actually helping. It's enabling.
Yeah. Yeah. It's enabling. So I think about in this, in Leviticus, it said, do not glean all the way to the edges of your field, right? And do not pick up everything that falls off the vine, like every grape that falls off the vine. That is for the poor. That's for the sojourner, like the foreigner in your land. And what hits me there is actually something that I agree with you in, because to get that food, the person would have to go do the work. They would have to, after the field has been picked and everything, they would have to go to that field and they would have to reap what is left. Mm-hmm. Right? And what is left is not going to be, the best. Mm-hmm. Right? It's going to be the leftover, but they're going to be cared for like God says, the rain falls on the just and the unjust alike. Like it's there, but it is survival. It is not desire, that we talked about, hitting desire. It is not thriving. It is not any of that. It is survival. Mm-hmm. And that's it. And I think when we start to look at it like that, making sure that people have enough for survival and they have enough to be able to say, I want more, and then to enter the system to learn how to get more, right? So, I mean, if somebody was picking and gleaning from the field and everything, like, and this is me interpreting now and everything, but I'm like, the landowner then looks and goes, okay, here's my next workers. I can go to them now and say, hey, next year, would you like more? Would
Right.
you like better? Right? I can teach you this. I can train you in this.
Right.
Right? I can help elevate you and get you out of the position that you're in. And we see that again I guess it's probably in Leviticus as well, but it's teaching the servant, right? And then they would bind themselves to you for 7 years or whatever, right? And then they could be, released and everything. But at that time, now they weren't picking the corners of your field. They weren't picking what was left. They weren't doing any of that. You were actually training them, educating them, giving them a place over their head, all of that for 7 years. And then they could go on their way. And now they had the skill, they had everything. Right? Yeah. So it's like, can we take care of people and put the system in place to let them, hey, if you want a survival subsistence living, it's there. Right? Do you want to elevate yourself? It's there. Right? But there's a little bit more choice and flexibility, within that for, that person.
Right. And on that same note too, like the person that picks the field after the fact can also on their own, instead of maybe eating, use it to grow their own crop.
Yeah. Yeah. So if they entered the training and everything, then they would learn the agriculture, they would learn the animal husbandry, they would learn everything that they needed, for their own system. And that, as a business owner, that's one of the things that, like, everybody wants minimum wage to go up, and I'm like, I totally understand, but I can't pay you the amount of money you want for an entry level job. Right? Mm-hmm. There's, and I know this is harsh, and here we go. Here's the polarizing thing, but I'm like, there are things you need to pay me to teach you, right? So because it's such low level, and this is where we get into the dynamic of, right, some people don't pay their workers the right amount, and we get into this. So now we need a minimum wage, and then at the same time, I'm like, but I can teach you, filing and basic computer skills and stuff like that I know you learned in school and everything, but applied to this business, and now it's going to give you experience. It's going to give you the training so that you can now actually hit one of these minimum wage jobs.
Right.
Because people say, like, hey, there's no employees, or the pay isn't right, or whatever else. But I'm like, but if I can't hire you for a minimum wage job because you're not qualified, what am I supposed to do? Because I can't afford to train you.
Right.
So it cuts us off at the knees both ways.
Well, and I mean, how many people go into unpaid internships?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so and generally those, I think, end up paying more than the minimum wage jobs, or maybe not. I'm not very familiar with it, but it comes back to, like we were talking before, choices.
Yeah.
And like you're saying with the minimum wage, yeah, should we have a minimum wage? Sure. But the argument on that, the whole argument from most people is, well, it needs to be a living wage. No, like there's no way that it can be. It's never meant to be. You're not supposed to subside off of that.
Right.
Like,
yeah. You're supposed to grow from it.
Right. You're supposed to use it as a catalyst to continue. And so if you're just going to stagnate in that space, then what do you expect?
Yep. Yeah, one of my gyms, the entry level was coaching class, right? And so the way that you can move up is I offered specialty classes, so you could get paid by the head if you developed a specialty program, and I would help you do it, by the way. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, go figure this out. No, I would tell them exactly how I wanted it and everything, how they needed to present it to me, what was going to be the benefit, teach them how to sell it. Like, I would do everything, right? In training them to do that.
Right.
And then personal training was another way, and then small group personal training was another way. And so there was many, many opportunities, and yet I had coaches that started coming to me and were like, we want more money for coaching class. And I was like, absolutely not. No. Like, class is the easiest thing. It's the first thing that you're trained on. You don't even have to be a great coach. You just have to be a really great time manager.
Yeah.
To keep everybody on schedule and everything. Like, I have so many ways for you to make, real money and everything. Right. Like, actually, one of the things that I would do with specialty classes is I would make sure that you made $100 an hour. When we priced it out and everything, I would work all the math out and everything so that I knew and you knew you were making $100 an hour while you were there.
Yeah.
To do that. So I'm like, there is no reason. And then they started coming to me like, you always tell us to know your value, know our value. And I'm like, yeah. So if you know your value, do these other things that I am training you to do.
Right.
Right? Not this thing. Right? Because I know the value, in this instance, I know the value of that job. And we're not speaking about the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and to that point, too, I think so many people don't understand basic economics, and something that was eye-opening for me in the construction world was taking a foreman class and understanding how pay actually works. Like, for instance, if the company is charging, let's say, for, using your example, $100 an hour, and you're being paid, your wage on the check plus whatever benefits you got, and say that comes out to $70 an hour between the two of them. So now the company is getting $30 an hour, but then they have to pay into Social Security, and they have to pay into all the overhead and everything else. And so it's fascinating to see that people think these companies, are making, and they do make profit. Obviously, they're not going to be in business if they're not making profit. But they're just like, man, they make so much off of our backs. No, they really don't.
Yeah.
If you actually do the math, you're the one that makes most of the money.
Yes.
From the wage that they're charging whatever client.
Yes.
So it's a fascinating world when you actually dig. And I mean, then I don't even want to get into statistics. That fucking shit show of a mathematical thing. I don't know how much you know about that, but I don't know what I know and what I don't know. Yeah. But I'm with you on wage because, yes, most of the time, I know for my employees, they made the largest share by percentage. I paid starting at
30% and then escalated up to 60% as you got better and everything at the specialty classes and PT and all of that. And overhead, for the building and everything, fixed costs was between 15 and 20%. So, profit and everything for, high earner and everything for me and everything was about 20%, on the dollar and everything. And, so 20 cents or whatever on the dollar. And you'd be like, there's often you don't work, you don't do. But no, for me, I was in there training them every day. I was coaching, I was doing all of that. And again, like, it's not like, oh, I'm better than, other business owners and everything. Well, maybe I was in some cases. I was in there doing it. But there's a lot that goes on, like the hardest part of a business, to me is marketing. Right. And I learned that in one of the consulting businesses I was in. They brought in so many leads. It was, insane. And I was kept happy and fed and everything else. And I went out on my own and was like, this will be easy. And I was like, oh my gosh, marketing is hard and it's expensive and it is insane,
Yeah.
So your list, your audience, if you're working for somebody else, or what those leads are, however that works in construction or whatever else, like I think the average worker just does not know how difficult and how much money that actually takes.
Right.
So, yeah.
And until you educate yourself on it, you won't. And you'll make those comments about how much you make sitting on your butt.
Yeah. Exactly. Now, counterpoint, other side of it though, there are certain financial instruments in this country that allow wealthy people to avoid paying taxes that I'm not a fan of.
Sure.
Yep. But that's different. That's different than the running of a business and everything. And those are things that we, the people, as voters, would have to change. It's not going to change within, your company or your whatever, because the government allows that in different tax law and everything. And so, I'm very against some of those financial instruments and everything, but it's going to take, like you said, like people learning economics, learning these things, because I think to your point and everything is a lot of people think the wealthy and the ultra wealthy or even the rich and everything are because of wage. And it's like, no, that's not it at all,
Right.
So, yeah.
No, I mean, as well as I do, trading time for money is the worst way to build wealth.
Yeah.
Like, it's got nothing to do with that. And that's always made me think about one of the, I don't know if you ever saw the movie In Time with Justin Timberlake.
Yes, yeah. Me and Kelly just watched that, and it was like, oh, whoa, okay, yeah.
Right? Like, what a fascinating view of really the dystopian way that we trade our time for money. And, not to say that that's the way it's going to go in the future, but literally you get paid in time to survive at that point.
Yep.
But it's no different than what, people do now.
Yep.
And I don't remember if it's a quote or not, or just something that I'd said before. The biggest, I can't remember the word that I want to use, but we'll just say not joke, but that was ever perpetrated on humanity was giving up your time for anything. And wherever it started, with a gold coin or, whatever it was, once you started trading your time for something, I mean, that was the end.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
but, again, it all comes back to mindset stuff like we've talked. Are you willing to do the work that it takes to get to the place that you want to get to by, using whatever methods, whether it's the stuff that you teach people with the pause, which, if you wouldn't mind just naming those steps again, because I can't even remember.
Yeah. So, step one, yes, the distilled version, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. We went over the whole thing, in a broad.
Yeah. So the distilled version, step one, I call it the authority breath. So you breathe. It's 3 rounds of 4 counts in, right? Slow 4 count. And then I tell people to kind of hold until it starts to just kind of hurt a little bit, sting a little bit, and then out for 6. Just a quick hold at the bottom and then back in 4, right? So 3 rounds of that. Mm-hmm. Then and then as soon as that's over, 1B, as it were, is what's my opportunity to grow? Right. So I'm in this situation. I'm taking back my authority. What's my opportunity to grow? And that's kind of setting your intention, in this. And then 2 is going to be, why is this in my story? So we want to bring awareness to why this is in our story and what's our responsibility. So awareness and responsibility. 3, what is my opponent saying, or what is my enemy saying? All right. So we give the enemy their say in it and everything, so that we start to learn what is our voice and what is that voice. 4, what is my soul saying? So now that we've gotten everything out, we're empty, we can be really quiet. All right, now what is my soul saying to me in this still small voice, the quiet voice? 5, in light of what my soul is saying and what my intention was to begin with, what do I want my story to be? Because there is a trap right there of getting lost of, hey, why was I doing this to begin with? No, we set the intention in the beginning. We heard from the soul. So now, what do I want my story to be? Yeah. Right? And for any listener or anything, I actually highly recommend just writing that in story form. It's more fun and it's more likely to stick in your head.
Like in a third person or a first person?
Sure.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it didn't matter. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just say what I want my story to be, moving forward and everything. And then step 6, from that story, what action am I going to take within the next 24 hours to bring it to life, to manifest it, right? If it's really big, a lot of times I just tell people, what's the smallest thing you could do? I can't accomplish all of this. Yeah, no worries. What's the smallest thing you could do? And then step 7 is tell people, like, have an accountability buddy, right? So if you're working with me, I'm your accountability buddy. But if you're not working with me, have one, right? Tell them what the step is, right? When you're going to do it. Then tell them when you've done it, what the outcome of the step was, any feedback from it. And the feedback we're looking for is going to be, any emotions that came up, any limiting beliefs, any good things that came out of it as well, right? And then did any future steps come out of it? Because that's a big one, is people do the one thing and then the next step shows itself and they don't do it. And it's like, no, just keep following it until it stops and you get stuck again.
Right.
Yeah. Like, you can get a lot done if you just follow that.
Yeah, honestly, there was a point in time where I just visualized like this. It was almost like playing a video game like The Sims or something.
Yeah.
And you just had that green arrow path and like,
Yeah.
No, if I go that way, no, the path is saying to go this way. So I just follow that little,
Yep.
So.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. And if you get stuck or something comes up and everything, then great. Pause on it again, or bring it to your accountability partner. Obviously, if I'm coaching you, just bring it to me, and we work through that. Through that next piece, and it really becomes simple, not easy.
Right. Yeah, I think for sure. That accountability, is one of the most important things for sure. When it comes down to helping people or even yourself, just having that, whether it's like you said, a friend or a coach that you're working with, like that's what they're there for. You know, if your friend's willing to help you, great. If you're, paying somebody to help you, fucking use them. Like that's what they're there for.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. My little map, right? That I like your green arrow path and everything, because the map that I kind of use is we bring awareness, we take responsibility, right? We empower our authority. We have agency, so to take action. We use accountability, right, to make sure that we're taking action and everything. And if you will do all of that, it will lead to leadership, right? There, nobody who does, the awareness to accountability loop, continuously over time does not become a leader. Like every single one of those people becomes a leader because people see you getting things done. They see you accomplishing things. They see, the difference in your life compared to other people's, and they start saying, "How do I do this?" And that's when leadership, really takes root and everything. And then my little definition is kind of from the Army of for leadership, which is I changed it a little bit, but it's intentionally providing purpose, motivation, and direction to accomplish a mission.
Nice.
So, that's really what it is, but you don't need to have all of that. Just decide, act, and be accountable, and you'll do really dang well. And
I think to your point with everybody becomes a leader from it, it's because it starts with you leading you.
Yeah.
That's this whole process is you learn how to lead yourself. And so once you know how to do that, then leading others down that path or down their own path it's just inevitable.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
100%, man.
Awesome. So, yeah, man, I really appreciate sharing all that knowledge and your amazing story and how it came to be, and so much love for you guys over there. And if anybody, wants to get in touch with you, like how would they?
Yeah, so the only way to do that right now is really through Facebook. Josh Price, orange beard guy, but I will be getting now that I know what I'm doing, I will be quickly getting like website or landing page set up, and then all of the normal ways to find somebody set up. Yeah.
Right on. Well, I'm glad it's all falling into place as it should.
Yeah,
so,
thank you.
Yeah, it was great talking to you, and thanks for coming again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for having me. And yeah, we'll have to do it again in like 6-8 months when I'm further down the road, and we can
Hell yeah.
talk
Do a
more and dig
recap.
deeper.
Love to, and see all the progress from all the things being paused on and action taken and
Yep.
everything else. So right on, man.
All right, man. Thank you.
Yeah. And everybody out there, again, you want to work with Josh, reach out to him on Facebook, and don't forget to subscribe and give us some reviews so that we know how we're doing and can do better. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.